Here we go. All right, now I'm going live.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Comics Cube, everyone. We're on live with Laurie Calcaterra, and we're
Hi.
talking Path of the Pale Rider, issue number 2, the Kickstarter for which is up right now.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing great. It's great to have you back on the show. But
Thank
you know,
you.
Laurie, just you've been on the show before, but some of our viewers now may not they may not be aware of Path of the Pale Rider. So
Yeah.
let's start that off with that. Like, what is Path of the Pale Rider all about for people who don't know?
Path of the Pale Rider is an indie comic series. It's a Western apocalypse. So I know like those things don't always go together, but it's a Western where in this world, the death process is broken. So your body can die, but your soul or your energy, whatever you want to call it, it just doesn't leave your body at that time. So there's no rest. You don't get to leave. So the people, the animals, the insects, they're all stuck here. I mean, everything that's alive, plants. Um, and you get to experience your own decay phase.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of gross, but that's kind of like the horror aspect of the apocalypse too. It's like your brain is literally rotting in your skull. So we have this population of people that are slowly going crazy, either forgetful or violent or detached. And it's like there is no escape. There is no like shoot the zombie in the head and they die. It's there is no escape. We could burn you into a pile of bones and ash and you're still here. It's
Where did that idea come from?
I had this crazy idea like what would happen if nothing could die? And I think we already explored like immortality as people, where it's like you just don't age or you don't, your body is around forever. We have elves that are immortal. We've seen vampires that are immortal, but it was more like what would happen if your body died but you were just stuck in it, and what would happen to the world if nothing could leave? It does some bad things. It turns it on its head. It's pretty hard place to survive. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll just leave it at.
And can you describe the main character of this book?
Yeah, so we started issue number 1. We follow this cowboy named Jude St. Clair. So we're actually 10 years in the future. We're 10 years into the apocalypse, but things have basically devolved back to the Wild West. So you're going to see like modern technology, like cars, and you know what I mean? Like it's 10 years from our future, but again, it's like if you were living on the road, and everything was trying to kill you, you might dress something like a cowboy who is on horseback and trying to survive in the wild, has to carry everything on their person, something like that, like leather clothes. So that's kind of the inspiration for that. So he is like the last guy that's still looking for the answer, right? Because 10 years into any kind of crisis, most people are just trying to scrape by, they're just trying to survive. But he still wants to know why will the dead not die? Um, so that's kind of his path that he's following. So he'll do anything that it takes to continue to look for the answer. So
This is interesting to me because you are talking about a crisis and you are talking about how people react to a crisis or scraping by during a crisis. When did you come up with the idea for
yeah,
this comic?
2018. So before COVID, before the riots, before like okay, so people when you read this, because you're going to see a lot of similarities because there's government breakdown and like yeah, it's almost like art art imitating life, right? Is that the
Yeah,
saying? Is that how it goes?
it goes both ways.
But it's the other way where it's like I wrote the story first and then life started imitating my story and I was like, oh, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. I was like, because if it goes any further, we're in big trouble.
Has how the real world progressed, has that
Yeah.
affected the way you've written the story?
You know, no, because I wrote the whole thing back in 2018. So I'm the whole first arc. Let me back up. So I came from production. I used to work for a production company in Detroit called Coattail Collective. I was actually their stunt coordinator, and I managed a fight team. So I'm a martial artist, and that's kind of where I started with them, and then started writing content, right? So when I wrote this, I wrote it as a screenplay, as a full-length movie. So, and then I broke it up into comics when I decided to go that avenue. So the whole first arc is complete. It's 13 issues. So, I mean, I think the only reason I did some rewrites or I added things was when I started writing arc number 2, but I didn't like adjust for current events. When you read it, it's pretty spot on, which is scary, you know, to like how humans would react to this kind of thing. Yeah.
You know, I try to, I was playing the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 video game, right?
Yeah.
And Dr. Octopus lets out a virus onto New York, and then all of the NPCs start wearing a mask. And I
Yeah.
said to myself, the most ridiculous, unrealistic thing about this video game with Spider-Man in it is the idea that everyone would wear a mask in the middle of a crisis,
Because they would fight it.
because they would totally fight it.
Uh-huh.
And I think, the fact that your story is able to was able to kind of predict how humans would actually end up reacting to a crisis. How do you feel about that?
Scared. No, I'm just kidding. It's like we've had riots before, we've had pandemics before, we've had ugliness of humans before. So I'm not creating anything new. I'm looking at the human race, and I kind of like point a spotlight on some of our more ugly behavior. Because not only was I dealing with pandemic and riots, I also have like later on in the story, when the undead population gets too big, the government takes a step in and they decide they're going to start separating society, right? So undead over here, and living, you can continue doing what you want. So they actually come up with like a way to mark people so that everybody wears this thing called a disc. So we have technology that they can very easily tell each other apart. And also there becomes this police force called the collectors that you can call an anonymous phone line, and the collector will go check and see if this person is undead. And if they are, they'll come take them out. So we've done stuff like this before. So again,
Yeah.
I'm not writing anything new. I'm just saying like this is how people would act because we've done crap like that before.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with science fiction, right? Like
Right.
you take certain things, like, and then you add a whole other layer on top of it.
Right.
Like, all of a sudden, oh, humanity is great now, but now we're discriminating against robots
Right.
or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So it's like the way that human react, but then you put it in your world where you add the sci-fi or fantasy element, and then it's like you let them react how they would if that was the case. So that's basically what this is. This is exactly what it is. So it's like people can be ugly, people can be good. Like Jude St. Clair is a good guy. He's just kind of naive at times, and he's a human. He does stupid stuff. Like in the first issue, he was up all night because there was a pack of wolves that was coming after him and his horse. So the next day he was tired and he wasn't making good decisions. So I mean, I'm that way. If I don't have sleep, I'm like, what the heck am I doing? It's like you can
Sleep and
make
food.
yeah, it's like if you're hungry and you're making stupid decisions, things can go bad very, very quickly, especially in this world. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see yourself in this guy. Like he did something dumb. I feel bad, but I would totally do the same thing.
That's an interesting name right there, Jude St. Clair.
Yeah,
Feels like there's a significance there.
of
Would you like to
course.
explain it?
I love naming my characters, and if you can figure out like the backstory behind certain names, it will tell you who these characters are. So Saint Jude uh, is actually the patron saint of lost causes. So here's Jude on this impossible mission looking for the answer in the apocalypse, and he's been looking for it for a long time, right? I have a character number 2 that we introduced whose name is Dwayne Fink. What is a Fink? A Fink is like a dude that kind of like what do I say, like a snitch.
It's
Like
like a
he's in
weasel.
jail
Yeah.
and he's telling like the cops or whoever like the secrets. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind when you read issue number 2, that his name is Dwayne Fink.
Do you ever so when naming characters like that, do you ever feel like you're telegraphing what the characters are going to be, or
If people can read that far into it, then yes. I love doing that because not everybody is that intuitive. Like Path of the Pale Rider, the name of the series itself, is about one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse,
Yes,
right?
from the Book of Revelation.
Exactly. So when it talks about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the last one rides in on a pale horse, and he who sits upon him is death. So it's like the whole series is about the absence of death. Where did death go? It's like death is missing, and that's why the world is in shambles. So that's what Jude is on the path looking for. Where did death go, or what happened to death, and why is death broken? So, I mean, very telling, very telling. So if you read my story and you read a name and you're like, I'm gonna look this name up, you might find out more about this character and their background than most people. So I encourage you to do that.
Let's zoom in on a particular name that showed up in issue 1. Jude's horse is named Diana Prince.
Yes.
Are you a longtime fan of Wonder Woman?
Of course. How could I not be? Being a female and being a comic book reader, collector, how could you not enjoy Wonder Woman?
I'm supposed to ask
Course.
questions without assuming the answers.
This is true, but what if I said no? Like, no, I hate Wonder Woman. That's why that's why.
I would have been like, oh, okay, let's move on.
No, of course. But it's just like, it was that little extra, you know what I mean? Because the horse's name is Prince. Everybody refers to the horse as Prince. And then Jude has this little moment with a young child who is younger than 10. So very innocent in this world. You know what I mean? Wasn't around when everything started to go south, and probably has no clue about how dangerous the world is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe has never seen a horse before. And so this little girl is so interested in this horse, like wants to feed it apples, but we don't have apples. What's her thing? And Jude's like, it's okay, And I think he corrects. He's like, Prince is a girl, and her full name is Diana Prince. And I named her after a warrior woman who protects the human race. So it's like, okay, so DC Comics exists in my world, and Jude St. Clair reads comics. So it's just like another little step for like the reader to enjoy, like a reference towards that. So
yeah,
she's got a star
okay.
on her forehead.
How is the reception to issue number 1? How's that been?
It was great. People all enjoyed it. That ending, people were like, why?
Without spoiling it, I
Not
said the same
spoiling
thing.
Did you say the same thing? You were like, no. What did you think of that ending?
Exactly. That's what it was. I was like, come on.
But I mean, when you think about it, all right, people, we're not going to spoil it, but let me pose this question to you. Bears are apex predators. Bears can run, swim, climb, right? There is no way away from this thing, because Jude St. Clair and his horse accidentally wake up an undead bear named Big James, who hangs out on this road and hates everybody. So they wake it up by accident, and it's like, how do you get away from this thing? There is no way. There is no way to get out of there. So what happened. You know what I mean? Because Big James is just he's a gnarly bear. Yeah. So
how much of that
with those consequences, man?
How much research do you do when it comes to stuff like that with like wildlife, or clearly you know a lot about bears, because my impression of bears is like, bears are friendly, like the Berenstain Bears or the Coca-Cola polar bears.
God. No, bears will eat your face. Yeah, I do quite a bit. It's, as a writer, I feel like I have to stay, pretty accurate. It's like, this is based off the real world. So like, I was looking up what kind of bear is in that area, because they're right around like Arizona is where he is right now.
Yeah.
So there's black bears that are there. How big do they get? What do they eat? What are they like? You know what I mean? So it's like, I do a lot of research so that way I can represent, because I just can't have like a grizzly bear. They don't live in Arizona. You know what I mean? So yeah, I spend quite a bit of time researching the area and the names and the habitat, so I can create something that could happen. And of course, when you're apocalypse or horror writer, your search engine is full of all sorts of weird things, like what kind of gas smells sweet but is also flammable, because I wanted to blow some stuff up, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, Really weird. Really weird. If you go look in the search engine and it's like, I swear to God, I write things like I'm not a serial killer or an arsonist.
One day the police will find your search
I
history.
know. They're going to be like, what does she do? Oh, she writes comics. It's okay.
Okay. Path of the Pale Rider, issue number 2. What can we
Yeah.
expect? The Kickstarter is already live
Yeah, we're
as of
live.
this moment in time, which is October 13. You have 17 days to go, and you've met $3,278 out of a goal of 4,550. What can we expect from issue number 2?
So we are now headed into the town of Santa Claus. That's a real place, mind you, which is cracks me up. I had to do it when I was
Where?
it's in Arizona. I swear to God, it's a real place. Go look it up. When I was okay, because when I wrote the story, there's specific places that Jude is going to go. He's headed west.
Yeah.
So there's big things right in the west that are monumental. So I had to find a place that was kind of on his path that would make sense for him to be there and still be able to get to the places where he's going. So I was just kind of like going around Google Maps, and I was like, Santa this, Santa that. I'm like, I wonder if there's a Santa Claus. Can that be a thing? And it was. And I was like, no way. I was like, Santa Claus is a real place and it's in Arizona. I'm putting it in. Like, how can you not? So,
Perfect. It's perfect.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Have you seen? Never mind. We'll get there. So yeah, so Jude is headed into this town of Santa Claus looking for Dwayne Fink, who we discovered in issue number 1. I gave everybody the first 4 pages of the issue on the Kickstarter page. So like Jude gets into the town, he gets into the saloon. First of all, he passes a bunch of zombies into town because Santa Claus is not really a nice place when it comes to the undead. They don't want any undead in their town. So if you're
This is
undead and you
cracking me
show
up
up,
because you just literally said Santa Claus is not a nice place when it comes to the
yeah,
undead.
yeah. Just wait. We'll get there. So they stake the zombies on the outside of the wall, kind of as a warning, like don't come here where this is how we treat undead. And then Jude walks through the town, and they got more undead like hanging from street lights. And of course, they're my undead and not zombies. So one of them is like asking Jude for help. You know what I mean? But this is just like another Tuesday to Jude because zombies have been around for a decade. So it doesn't even like affect him anymore. So he gets in the saloon. They're like, there's a stranger here. So that goes to tell you they don't like outsiders either. So it's like they're super unfriendly. And he says to the bartender, I've been looking for this guy. Any idea, where Dwayne Fink is? And the guy's like, oh, Dwayne Fink, he's right over there. And it's just like the town drunk at the table, drinking beer, and like the crowd's just kind of like pushing him, like, here's another beer, Dwayne. Tell us the story about the man of gold who lives forever. And he's like, and he gets like all worked up and gets on the table and starts like screaming crazy things about getting judged by the God and the wrath of God and blah blah, like keeps spilling his beer on the same dude, and then like gets so upset he falls off the table and gets thrown in the drunk tank. So the bartender kind of looks at Jude like, are you sure this is the important guy you're looking for? Like, because that's him. And he's just kind of like, yep, that's him. Like, that's the things I got to deal with in order to figure out the answer, kind of thing. So something's coming. Jude's about to do something.
How many so this is the second of how many planned issues for the first arc?
There's 13 total for the first arc, and they're all completed. So at this point, it's just a matter of raising funds so I can pay the artist to continue producing the issues, right? Because we did our first issue. It just printed in July. We sent it out in August. So then September 30th, we went live again for the next one. So if we're ready, we're just gonna keep going. You know what I mean? There's no reason to pause. The story's there, so we can keep turning out new issues every 3-4 months. If we
Let's talk about that artist. Let's talk about that artist, Marco DeFillo.
Marco's art. You guys have to, go to the Kickstarter page and take a look at some of the stuff I posted here. Just even like the character sketch that he did of Jude St. Clair, right at the top. Like all
The
his
link is down below
expressions.
the description of this video, guys. So just click on it. Yeah.
I mean, did you see all the expressions that he did? He's very like Clint Eastwood looking, and we love to put like the eye squints in there. So you'll see that. But I mean, he's decked out, man. He's got a machete, he's got a gun, he's got all sorts, he's got knee pads and shoulder pads, and very Western a look to him. But just like the way that Marco brings these characters to life, it just amazes me because I feel like I write a description and he can see what I see in my head and is able to just bring it to life, and you get to feel the emotion that Jude is feeling, as he's running away from bears or talking to people, experiencing fear or hope or whatever he's going through. It's like you get to go through it with him because Marco is able to breathe life into the story. I can't say enough about Marco. He is fabulous. And if you
Yeah.
look at the Kickstarter page, we have black and white pages, and then we have color pages.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so issue number 1 was black and white, and we had a color stretch goal. We didn't quite get there. We weren't expecting to. It was our first time ever, right? We were just hoping to like make the Kickstarter,
Yeah.
which we did. We were like $800 shy of that color stretch goal. So this time, I wanted people to see the color so you can see what the story looks like when Marco does everything. You know what I mean? Because last time we gave you black and white pages, but you couldn't see what he is capable of doing. And in my opinion, it just breathes more life into the story. It's just superior. So we're really pushing for that color stretch goal this time, so we can get there. If we don't get there, you guys get a black and white comic. You get to enjoy the story. It moves forward. But at some point, we would like to just skip that black and white stage and go to color just off the jump. We have intentions of going back and coloring all of the issues that are produced in black and white at some point. So,
Can you describe the short films that you made for this?
yes. Okay. So at the top, what section are we in under this story? So, all right. So in the story, you get Jude's point of view. He's our protagonist. And I'm pretty strict. We stick to Jude's point of view almost the entire way. But there's so many other things that happen in this world. I wanted to explore them with other media. So we did a short film for the first campaign where it was like a commercial for the undead retirement community. And that one it looked like a legitimate commercial for like a gated community, but like it would glitch out and have static. And then in the middle, it would show like a riot or violence, or things on fire. Like I think we simulated a shooting. So I mean, like we do stunts because that's where I'm from. So I like to continue doing that stuff. So you got to see like what the world wanted you to think and then what the world really was. So it was kind of a cool juxtaposition of the images, the serene images versus the violence. Number 2, I opened it up for more fan participation. So people could record themselves telling me what they think broke the death process.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that together in a video. It was like a news report where my husband was like the newscaster at the desk. And then I was in the field and I was interviewing people about their thoughts about what broke the death process. Super funny. Everybody is like, put some thought into it. It's like food or sugar, McDonald's. And then some people just went crazy. It was like, it's the cats. Still absolutely funny. So it's kind of like it jumps between all the interviews and you get to kind of feel what people think broke the death process. The short film up top is about 5 minutes. I put a longer version at the bottom of the page. If people want to watch the extended one, it's 8 minutes. And then when we get to 100 backers, I will release the blooper reel, which is super funny. Also,
So
if you want to see me get hit by a car. What?
That's when you get to 100 backers. Currently, you're at 56.
Yeah.
So come on,
we're
guys.
on our
44
way.
more people.
Yeah, and then you guys can laugh at all the craziness that we did. Because I mean, like it was already pretty crazy what's in the video. So if it's in the blooper reel, oh my god.
Did you say you got hit by a car?
Yeah, if you watch to the end, you get to watch me get run over by a car. Because stunts, you got to go out with a bang.
We have a comment in the chat from Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt.
Oh, hi, Pops.
saying, "Hey, yo, Laurie hosts a show on the Madness Network.
I
Her book
do.
is a great story, lots of fun. You want to plug that show really quick?"
Yeah, I'm on the so comic related madness. We have a group that you can join and you can kind of follow along and see what everybody does. So you can get in there and everybody's welcome. But on Tuesdays, let's see, Eastern Standard Time, it's 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's myself and like 8 other comic book creators, and we'll have guests, and we just drink coffee and we talk about what's current. Since we're all creators, usually someone is in, I mean, like in a project. Like myself, I'm kickstartering right now, but like we take turns. Well, it's just like you can hear all the updates, and then we like see something shiny and we're off talking about a crazy subject, and it's like herding cats. It's a lot of fun. It's really off the rails, and we have a disclaimer that if someone says something crazy, we put it up because yeah, it gets nuts. But it's
The
a lot of fun. If you want to tune in and hear more craziness, you're welcome to join me and the Madness crew on Tuesdays.
That does sound fun. Like, do you think just storytelling is just in your blood?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Because I have this story. I actually have a few more that I've developed, and I just this was kind of my first adventure into comic books. So I did a web series for the production company called The Agency. It's a spy drama. So it's like it's not as fantastical as that one, but it's still like real heavy martial arts and lots of twists and turns in that one. So it's like I have other stuff. So when we get through Path of the Pale Rider, or we get bigger, or maybe I hire someone to do marketing for me, I can start pushing out some other things. I also partnered with Charter Comics, who is a publisher, and they're going to give me some opportunities to write other things as well. So I'm really excited about being able to let other people see what's in my head. It's not all horror, I promise, but a lot of it will get you. I like creating characters that people like and
Mhm.
appreciate. I don't always kill them, but most of the time I do.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I think the marketing portion of this whole deal, it's just annoying, isn't
It is what it is.
it?
I really enjoy coming on shows because I get to talk like with people like you and like meet, build a community, and like there's people out there that are doing some really cool stuff that inspires me. So that's half the battle is finding your people, finding your community. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, it is pretty time consuming. But it's necessary, you know what I mean? So it's like it's just
Yeah.
find the
I was
good in it, enjoy it.
I was just more thinking about how, you can post something on social media and won't show it to all of your followers,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. That's
battling the algorithms is difficult, like, and especially with Kickstarter, because um like any of the platforms, they don't want you to leave that platform. So if I make a Facebook post and I put my link to my Kickstarter, there's a good chance people won't see it. You know what I mean? But you can make a post and everybody likes it, but it doesn't have the link, so it's not as convenient. You know what I mean? That if they have to do more work, a lot of times they don't go. So it's a double-edged sword. You just want to try and get everybody there, or you want people to A, know you exist, B, see what you're doing and find the worth in it. And then I don't know if I said one, two, maybe we'll do Home Alone.
you said
One,
A, B.
uh, did I was like, remember
One.
that scene where Buzz is like one, B, and D. So that's me
Uh,
today. That's where my brain's at. You want them to actually pull the, push the button and come and support, because that's hard. It's hard these days. It's like everybody thinks what you're doing is really cool, but it's like I need people to come and to be a part of it, so that way we can continue doing issues. Because Marco don't work for free, people.
you got three variant covers here, one by David Rodriguez, one by
Ah,
Everett Watkins, and one by Professor Richness.
yes.
And your, what do you call these things on the side? Your options, the things you can back.
Oh, they're the the reward levels. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the reward levels. So you got $5 or more, you get a
Uh-huh.
digital copy of issue number 2 and your name on the thank you page.
Yep.
$7 gets you both issue 1 and issue 2 as a PDF. $8 gets you the Zombie Starter Pack, which is a digital copy of Path of the Pale Rider 1, Raise 1, and Avalon 1.
Yeah, it's the Zombie Bros. Um, People that follow me on social media know I'm also in this other group with other comic book creators, indie comic creators, but we're all in kind of like the zombie genre. So we formed our own little group because I don't know, to support each other. So yeah, there are other indie comics creators, and if you like the horror genre, you like zombies, that's what these guys do, along with myself. So if you're new, this is a great reward level because you get 3 different comics all in PDF form. You know, you don't have to wait for shipping. It's like as soon as it funds, I could send these immediately because they're all done. So it's cool. You could get a few different things and maybe see a new series you weren't aware of. So they're cool guys too. I like them.
$10
Don't tell them that.
$10 gets you the physical copy of issue number 2.
Yep.
15 gets you both the digital copy and the physical copy.
Yeah.
And then also 15, I think here, different levels of 15, you just got to choose a cover.
Correct. So it's like we have the A cover, which is Marco DeFillo. That's the $15 to have and hold. And then there's a $15 level for all the different variants. So if you just want to, like, if you're buddies with David Rodriguez and you want to support his work, get his cover. You don't have to get any, you know, you don't have to buy the whole shebang, but you can just support, you know, David and his work with his cover, or like Everett's cover, which Everett's cover is the one I wanted to laugh with you about because that's the Santa Claus cover, the red one. And it's like that image sums up Santa Claus, where it's like, welcome to Santa Claus. But look at the image behind it. It is so unwelcoming. So this is our Christmas cover. It's like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree covered in zombie parts because that's how they roll.
Oh, now that you've described it as that, now we can't unsee it.
Right? So
That's
this
perfect.
one's a popular cover just for that reason. And it just cracks me up because Everett, he's actually, he's published with Scout, and he writes this young adult series called Boog the Outcast, which is about like little elfin creatures, and like one gets kicked out of the village and he has to like conquer this giant beast in order to like earn the respect of the chief and get back into the village, right? So doesn't draw this kind of stuff ever, and did a really nice cover for issue number 1. It was the cowboy cover. And then when I threw this at him, he was like, I don't know. But he tackled it to the point where he was grossing himself out. And I was like, that's how you know it's the right amount of gore.
So you know it's working.
Yeah, where it's like, this is gross, Laurie. And I was like, yes, it is, but it's perfect. It's a great cover.
Awesome. $25, you get a physical copy and the PDF copy of both 1 and 2.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
$35 or more, you get a digital copy of issue 2, a physical copy of issue 2, and a physical copy that is signed by both you and Marco.
Correct. So Nat is actually a friend of mine from Michigan, and this was his request, and it kind of took off last campaign because he's a collector. So he wanted a physical copy to read, to touch, to like smell the pages and enjoy, you know what I mean? But he also wanted that signed copy to like stay in the plastic and be on the shelf, so he didn't have to open the signed copy. So we're going to continue that because that typically draws people. Not so much this time, but it usually does. So we'll see.
I'm going to ask you to explain the $40 one, choose your own path.
So last time, the whole, what do you call it, marketing campaign, I did a ton of interviews. Like I think I did 32 interviews, something insane. And I had 6 or 7 people that didn't know each other all ask me like, hey, what have you ever thought about a choose your own adventure style book based in your world? Because your world is pretty difficult and you could really go any which way. It would be a perfect place for choose your own adventure. So after that last one, I was like, okay, there's like 6 or 7 people. I was like, I'm listening. So I wrote one. I wrote a 60-page choose your own adventure. It has some illustration. it has a wonderful cover by Marco DeFillo, a spread cover that he did, which is just so gorgeous. So yeah, so that's what you get with this. So you get a signed physical copy of the comic. You get the digital, and then you get the volume number 1 of Choose Your Own Path. People are really digging this, and I if people want more, I will do more, because it's another way that we can explore more of the world, and you get to actually experience it firsthand, you know. So this one, it's like it's already in the apocalypse. You're in the West, in the wasteland, and you get to run bounties. I don't want to say too much else. There's spectacular ways to die. We introduce some really interesting characters. There's a Jane Doe that you have to run a bounty. Oh, she'll kill you bad. And then there's this character named the Skinner. Whoo, don't mess with the Skinner. Yeah, it's like one of those books where it's like 1,000,000 ways to die in the West.
Yeah.
This is it. So it's fun though, because you can play it more than once and you can discover something completely different, you know?
Of course. It's like most choose your own adventure books.
Exactly. That's what we got there.
$50. Insert t-shirt graphic here. You've got the digital copy, the physical copy, the signed physical copy, a t-shirt, and a keychain.
Yes. T-shirt design, there's 2 of them. One just dropped yesterday. It's a not suitable for work t-shirt. It doesn't have anything salacious, I want to say, but it's Jude St. Clair doing sign language, saying bullshit.
Ah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's doing the bullshit sign language. So most everybody, yes. People might not know what that means, but if they do, you could like get kicked out of school or go, you know, like you probably don't want to wear that one to church on Sunday, people. So that dropped yesterday, and we are having another design. I'm actually going to have another variant cover that's in the works right now by Ken Salinas, who does Voodoods. If people aren't familiar, he will draw your character as a voodoo doll. He's
Cool.
Fabulous. He just went to New York Comic Con and like sold all his stuff and got to hang out with Todd McFarlane. I was like, I wish I was you. So so that's coming. That'll be the second t-shirt design. And then the keychains I'm upgrading from last time. It's actually going to be a nice aluminum disc with a piece of stamped leather and the POTPR symbol somewhere on there. So yep, that'll be a nice one.
Then you have the wholesale purchase for $50, 10 copies.
Yep, 10 copies. If you're a retailer and you want to get some copies, here's the way to go. It's cheaper. You know, get 10 of them in a bulk.
And then you have $200 ones.
Yeah, we have
which
Immortality,
as far as I can tell, have everything.
Pretty much. It's close to everything except for like the more expensive stuff, right? So the Immortality it's also an experience because you get all the books, you get the t-shirt and the keychain, but we'll also draw your likeness into the comic. So actually in issue number 2, there's 2 likenesses drawn into the comic, and they're both zombies, which is hilarious. From the last campaign. And then in book number 1, we actually had a couple pages where we used 2 Immortality backers as well. We had quite a few people. Not everybody sent their pictures in for reference, but if you want to be immortalized into the comic, this is for you. We will draw you in, and 99% of the time we're going to squish you. So you get to have a Million Ways to Die in the West experience in the comic. So, and then of course, the metal cover. Yeah. When I partnered with Charter Comics, they were like, hey, you want to do metal covers? And I was like, yes. So this has been a pretty popular cover option as well. A lot of the people that were Immortality backers last time are looking at this one because they're like, I already did Immortality. I want the metal cover this time. So that's pretty popular.
And then we have the $150 Bones of Despair, which also seems like it has everything.
Yeah. So again, it has all the covers, the t-shirt, the keychain, but this has a collectible item that I'm not really telling people what it is. All you have to know that it's pretty warped. It is a physical item, like you can put it on your shelf. But if you know the warped weight that my brain thinks it's a pretty creepy item that I'm putting together. Not everybody is brave enough to do this one, and I'm not letting people share this on social media. So if you get one of these, it's yours and it's secret. So yeah, so I like doing like just some secret things. You never know. So I had someone brave enough to do it, and then I included one in the $500 level as well.
uh,
So there's 2 of these going out so
which
far,
is
but
now gone.
yeah, well, there's only one of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. So okay. And then finally, right now you have the $200 for the Funko Pop.
It's Jude St. Clair as a Funko.
That's pretty
Isn't it
cool.
cool?
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So
What do you think of Funko Pops?
I enjoy that we have quite a few.
Yeah.
But it was just so cool to like see an item from your world, you know what I mean? Out of your
Yeah.
head, made as something that people collect, you know what I mean? That's like
Yeah.
it's very surreal to see that happen sometimes. So
And Funko collectors are hardcore.
they are. They are. So yeah, so I this was one of those things like in the last campaign, I only did one and I kind of like just put it there to just be like, okay, I don't think anybody's gonna back this, but whatever, we'll put it up. And like the second backer grabbed it, they're like, mine. You know, I was like, oh, it's like I'm paying attention. And then when they created this and I got it and I posted pictures on social media, people are like, how do I get one? You know? And then I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So we opened it up. So these are kind of interesting. So the Jude St. Clair pop, that singularity, the $500 level was last time. This is the same design, opened up for campaign number 2, maximum of 50. So, but it just depends on how many people order them. Like I can't order any more than what people are backing on this because they're a more expensive item for me to purchase. It's more expensive merch. You know what I mean? So it could be like there's 3 backers right now. It could be as exclusive as you get 1 of 3. You know what I mean?
Of course.
If more people back it, that's as many as we're making people. And then that singularity level that's gone is getting the new Funko Pop for this run, which is Big James the Undead Bear. So she's getting all of the covers, the t-shirt, the keychain, the collectible sticker, the Funko Pop of Big James, and the Bones of Despair, and the Choose Your Own Adventure book. Like if I had a kitchen sink, I would just toss it in there as well. It's just kind of, so she gets just about everything, which is cool.
Let's talk stretch goals. Again, as you've mentioned, 100 backers and you will release the blooper reel.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. 5,000, we're going to release the 5x7 prints of Big James splash page from number 1 that Marco went and colored. Everybody can get one of those. Like I should be able to hit $5,000, like 45, 50. That's not, you know what I mean? Like we're 99% there anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
60,
6,500, we're
6,500, yeah.
gonna that gets us to the color level where we can skip the black and white, and issue number 2 will just come out in color.
But then if you hit 7,700, you will you will color issue 1 and re-release
Correct.
that.
Yes. Yes, I will re-release that in a limited run. I haven't decided how many I'm going to do. It just depends on what people want. But we're going to get there eventually. Like it'll all be in color eventually. So if we don't hit that 7,700 right now, we might hit it next. You know what I mean? And anytime we have surplus from a Kickstarter, that's where the surplus is going. Like to keep Marco working, to keep him either coloring issue 1, issue 2, or continuing to move forward on the next issue. You know what I mean? So that way we have little downtime. So that's, if we have surplus.
10,000 one shot, the Skinner.
Yeah. So this nasty character that we get to meet in the Choose Your Own Path, we're going to give him his own 8-page one shot. And it's going to be drawn by a friend of mine who's Allison McGlone. And she does a lot of like, she works for Lucasfilm and does, like Star Wars. And she does all sorts of stuff, which is really cool. A lot of D&D. She and I are working on a project called the Sentinel Project, which is like Power Rangers meets the apocalypse. And it's really interesting where like angels are actually the bad guys, and it's wild. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
$12,000.
Yeah. And actually we're going to change this. I was just talking with Professor Richness on a stream right before this one, and he and I were talking about the next 2 stretch goals. So
Please,
12,000.
please tell me Professor Richness is his real name.
No, it's not.
Okay.
He's a professor of art. Like he teaches comic art, sequential art, like fundamentals of design, 2D and 3D perspective. Like
So
that's his profession.
Richness is
Rich
his
is his
real name.
first name. His name is Rich Parada, and he was actually an inker for Marvel and DC back in the 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
So he has some clout, and he is a professor, but it just rolls off your tongue. It's Professor Richness. You know what I mean? It just works. So he's the one that did the black and white a poker table variant cover, which he's coloring. He actually colored most of it on a live stream yesterday with me, and it was really cool. So we're changing these. So originally $12,000 I would put on a red dress and either slice or smash pumpkins on Halloween. I have a bunch. We talked about this last time, but it's been a while. But I practice martial arts. I practice Filipino martial arts. And I have a few machetes, and I will let people vote on which machete or a sledgehammer. And I'll just go smash pumpkins on Halloween because that's freaking fun. And Rich doubled down and was like, okay, well, if you get to 15, I'll put on a red dress and a blonde wig and I'll do it too. But we're dropping the level for this. So 12 and 15 is kind of high. We probably aren't going to make it. So we're lowering this to 6,000. So if we get to 6,000, both Rich and I will do this. So
you
if
heard
you
it
want
here,
to see,
people.
yes, if you want to see some debauchery, some destruction, some death to pumpkins, that's what's going to happen. He might do some, I don't know, watermelons, but I'm definitely going pumpkin. I mean, it's going to be Halloween. We might as well, right? So yeah, so I'm going to switch those on the Kickstarter. I just haven't had time. I got to update this thing. So yeah,
Awesome.
6,000. So if we get to 6,000, getting to 6,500 will just be a little bit farther people to get to that color stretch goal, right? That's where I really want to be. Like, that is my goal. If we don't get there, I won't be upset because we still get a story, right? But I really want that color. It's such a, if you go look at it, it's amazing. It's just so good. I just want to be there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It really brings it up to another level.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you have riddles in these books. How many people got
Yes,
the riddle
but wait,
the first time?
there's more. It's like, all right, you get a comic, you get these short films. What else can we do? So I love riddles. I love riddles. So I'm writing them. So this picture on the Kickstarter, if you're looking at it, is called a red reveal. It is a skull and it has a bunch of words. It says, search and you will find.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look closely, there are blue letters hiding under the red.
Oh, that's true.
So if you have a physical copy, I provided you. Here, let me show you. So here's Big James. Here's the riddle.
Yeah.
So in the physical copy, I did a crossword puzzle and I gave everybody this little piece of red cellophane and it has a key on it. So you get things like keys or you see a skull hand pointing, that usually means I'm telling you, hey, look here. Okay. And I'll give you answers and hints. So if you take this little piece of red and you run it down the side of the comic, the blue letters pop out. You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but
no, I can't see it, but
yeah, I know.
I get
it
the
is
idea.
there. So that's how you find the letters, which will give you instructions of where to go and what to search. So it tells you to go to Facebook groups and search. I'm going to give you the answer because issue 2 is coming out and I want people to be in the place. So it's POTPREE''S. So Path of the Pale Rider Easter eggs. So if you go in that group, you're going to be able to interact with all the other people that have solved the riddles. And you get to have bragging rights, like who solves the riddle first, you know what I mean? And on what date. So stuff like that. And then there's going to be other perks to being in that group. So there is a riddle for the second one. I didn't post it on here because people have been solving it. I like beta test stuff. And they were like, it's this, it's this, it's this. And I was like, oh, it's easier than I thought. So I can't put it up because people will start solving it and expect things to happen. And there's like, I have to wait until the print job is done and then I can start doing
Yeah.
the thing. So there's actually a trigger. So when you answer the riddle, something will happen and you get to interact with someone from my story.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And like I have plans
Very
for like
cool.
phone numbers that you can call and listen to messages, web pages that if you put in the password, you can hack it, um, pamphlets from Pine Fox, all sorts of stuff. So there's going to be a rabbit hole that you get to fall into and kind of interact with Path of the Pale Rider like it's a real world. You know what I mean? You might uncover hidden messages, which will take you to a YouTube video, which will show you how to hack a disk. You know what I mean? So there's so many layers to this world. It's like, I have fun. I have fun with it. I
Yeah,
really
I can
do.
see that you're really making it, for not just the comic, but like a lot of it is about the experience. So
Yes.
it's a whole experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. And what I like about it is that I'm doing this stuff and there's never like, okay, people, we need to get the stretch goal of this amount before I release the short film. Short film is always going to be there. Riddles will always be there. Like it's
Yeah.
part of the experience. You don't have to pay extra. I'm just the only reason I'm raising money is because I got to pay an artist and this is what he does. He's a full-time artist. Like, got to keep
Yeah.
him happy and eating food.
Of course. Of course.
Right? So,
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
yep.
Is there anything else you want to plug regarding Path of the Pale Rider #2?
I think we covered just about everything. We did all the stretch goals, even the crazy ones. We're on a bunch of social media. If you want to join the shenanigans that I do, we have a Facebook group. It's Path of the Pale Rider. Instagram is at Path of the Pale Rider with an underscore between all the words. So at Path _of_the _pale _rider. That same setup is our TikTok. So at Path of the Pale Rider with all the underscores. Twitter is at Path Pale Rider. And then, of course, our website is www.pathofthepalerider.com. I have a lovely blog that I write there that nobody reads. So it's really entertaining for me to like put spoilers in the blog and nobody knows because they don't read it. And it's okay with me because that's what it's there for.
Perfect.
Good
Good
time.
luck, Laurie. We have 17 days left to go for this
Yeah.
Kickstarter. So the links are below this video, guys. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on, as always.
Thank you very much. I always enjoy coming on your show. I'm in your Facebook group as well, and I like following around. Your posts are always spot on and make me laugh, and we have a good time. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Laurie.
mhm.